Yeah, so I've started recording now, and I'll do a screen share. So has that come through? Everyone can see that? Or maybe that's where probably someone has done I'm assuming that's come through.
Yep, all good.
Yeah. So just quickly, if any, I'm assuming that everyone knows their way around the study desk. So you got the course activities getting started, the forums. So, you know, if you want to actually get to any of the forums, you've got a news for, like anything really important and urgent would go there. I'll need to do an introduction. I'm just running a little bit behind with this course because I sort of took over at the 11th hour with someone getting sick, but I'm getting there now. And so a forum for each assignment. So if you've got any questions, and there's been a few questions already in regards to the siren, so that's also can be accessed under assessments, but you can see that like Tony posted some information and also had I think a question about, that might have been on the other assignment, yeah, for assignment 2. And I'll come back to this posting because I've given some more direction about how to approach the assignment. So if you wanted to actually go to assessment in total, you'll see, so assignment 1, and then assignment 2, that's also available. So if you, so in terms of assignment 1, if we click on this, you'll see that it opens up and you can download, so the actual assignment 1 specifications and the marking rubric, which we'll look at in more detail. And then also for each, as prior to each assessment, there'll be a Zoom video link, which you can join, and I'll advertise that. And you've got your assignment 1 submission link. So, and then we've got 2 other assignments. As I said, assignment 2 is now available, and if you have a look at that one, there's a bit, you can download the whole lot. I actually realise that's a better way. So if you click on that zip file, that'll download all 4 of these files. But for assignment 2, there's the specifications, there's the marking rubrics, and there's a data set, a crime data set for a city in Philadelphia, I think it is. And also there's a dictionary with that's something you might want to look at in another week or 2, but it's there for you to download, and I hope to working on assignment 3 and have that either on Friday or the weekend available to you, so you'll have all the assessment. And yeah, that'll be here. There'll be a link appear there. So the major assignment's due towards the end of the semester on the 26th of May. But one thing to mention with assignment 3, the data set and the work you do with Tableau, you will build on that and that same data set in assignment 3, but also be some other activities for you to complete. And then, the study schedule, it's an overview of the different, the different modules, and then you've got links to when each assessment's due. And so this one is due on the Monday, and giving the timing of that, I might look at extending that to possibly to the following Friday. It's probably a little bit early for so I'll probably send something out tomorrow and advise on that. Then if we go and have a look at the actual assessment, so the assignment specifications. So this one's the first assignment, sort of mapped against the first two objectives of the course, and the first three modules. So after what we covered this week, so that's why I'm thinking to extend it to the following Friday. But there's 4 tasks, and tasks 1 and 2 are sort of related. Probably module 1 and somewhat also module 2, and then task 3 and 4. So task 1 and 2, we're looking at data visualization techniques in terms of why we used a data visualization technique. So with the emphasis on telling a good story, and looking at exploratory versus explanatory, and then how we use data visualization techniques to tell a good story, focusing on the expressiveness of a data visualization technique and the effectiveness. And then task 3, looking at, so you need to discuss the role that cloud computing is playing in big data management, and what impact it would be having on data visualization. So there's quite a large, uptake. It's sort of becoming a part of mainstream sort of computing. If you look at cloud computing, a lot of organisations are using, moving to Office 365. It's, that's cloud-based. And then task 4, discussing the impact that the Internet of Things is having on big data management. So obviously, the Internet of Things is, I think that's fairly obvious, is generating a lot of data. And then how does that play out in terms of data visualization, in terms of opportunities and challenges? And then there's an overview of marking criteria. And then there's some instructions in terms of file. So you only need to submit 1 file in that sort of naming convention. And also just be aware that all assignments submitted are checked for academic integrity, in that they automatically, when you submit your assignment via the assignment submission link, it goes into Turnitin, and then that will match against other sources online, but also against other, would see if there's any matching with other students' assignments. So generally most students don't have a problem with this. Obviously, particularly this assignment, you need to do some research, and you're drawing on other articles, but sort of make sure that you actually write it in your own words and you're not just paraphrasing a whole, a whole chunk out of one of the articles that you're using to answer each of these assignment tasks, and then acknowledging the source of the ideas that supporting your argument and discussion. Then you're not going to have problems. It's when some students, if you just directly copy everything in providing your answers to assignment directly from online resources, it will get picked up and turn it in, and then you're going to run into problems. And obviously this is an individual assignment, and I'd encourage you to talk to other students, but it does, at the end of the day, it needs to be your own work. So if you submit the same assignment work, or it's 90% the same as someone else's, you're probably going to be asked to explain how that occurred. It's considered to be collusion, and you don't want to, and the other thing is, you don't get someone else to do your work. That's considered to be cheating. And so I don't want to dwell on those things, but it's just important to be clear about that up front, in terms of our expectations. So if I look at the marking rubrics, So there's a summary here. So if you look at in terms of how the split of marks, and so, there's 4 tasks there and they're spread evenly at 20 marks for each, and then 20 marks for the report quality, the quality of the report. And then the actual rubrics here actually drill down for each task, and then give some sort of, what's the word for it? Some statements there to give an indication of what, in terms of how you're falling into one of those categories of high distinction, credit, pass, fail. Obviously, so either not submitted or not relevant would get 0. Sometimes it does happen. It's unfortunate, but if you like task 1 there, if a student provides an answer that doesn't have any relationship with what is being asked in that task, you're not going to get marks for it. So we've got these rubrics for each of those tasks. So how do we use data visualization techniques, the role of cloud computing in big data management and data visualization, the impact of the Internet of Things on data management, on big data management, and opportunities and challenges, and then report structure and presentation. So the structure, quality, presentation, quality of writing, and referencing we're sort of looking for there. So that's to sort of give you some guidelines in terms of, where you're going to fall. When you get your feedback on each assignment, we'll highlight the category that, for that particular task or aspect of assignment where we think that it falls. And obviously, if it's a high distinction, in terms of commentary, it might just be congratulating you. If it's something down the lower end of where it like a pass, or it's not considered to be a passing quality for that particular task, we will write some comments, to try and explain to you why you didn't achieve a higher mark there, and so that you can improve. If you take that on board, you can improve with the next assignment. So if we go back to the actual Assignment 1 forum, and if we click on, and so if we look at this one, the posting by Push. So he had a question here. It's a little bit, which book. So there's no actual book for this course, but what I'm doing is trying to provide a series of sort of informative sort of videos, some from YouTube, and also some informative and relevant readings in the terms of blogs, something that's current for what's covered in each module. So here I've sort of just sort of gone to endeavoured to answer the student's question. So the resources provided for the first 3 modules provide sufficient coverage and a starting point for answering Assignment 1 4 tasks. Hence, you do need to review those provided resources for each module, and then it will be clearer as to which resources would assist you. I'm assuming that you also go through and actually read the assignment specifications, and then go through those resources in terms of working out how they will assist you in answering each of the assignment. Sorry, that should actually a typo there. That should be Assignment 1 4 tasks. So I'll correct that. But if you look at, like, for instance, task 1, discuss why we use data visualization techniques to tell a good story, focusing on exploratory data visualization technique and explanatory data visualization techniques. So, and then what I'm suggesting is illustrate your answers with some specific examples. So give some examples of exploratory data visualization techniques. And so there I'm sort of, obviously looking at some graphical, some graphs that would highlight, how you conduct exploratory data visualization.
Michael.
Yep.
On that, obviously, I presume that you're okay if I refer to figures within an appendix, because...
No, that's fine, whatever, just make sure you refer to them, because sometimes some students, they, it sometimes makes sense not to put, in the body of the report, but they don't refer to them. So sometimes when someone's marking them, they'll sort of mark them down, because they'll say, there might be part of them marking, how we determine what mark you get. And so, so I would always, normally a student would contact me and say, well, I actually did provide some graphs, but quite often what I'll find is they haven't referred to it. So yeah, definitely that's fine, Tony. But like refer, say refer to Appendix 1, or whatever, the numbering,
Great. No, look, that's fine. That's what I've certainly done. So all good.
Yeah.
Thank you for clarifying that.
Yeah, and similarly, they'd be the same with task 2. So how we use a data visualization techniques to tell a good story, focusing on the expressiveness of a data visualization technique, the effectiveness. And the key sort of reading as a starting point for that is this one here, the art and science of data visualization. And if I open that up, and if you scroll down through that, you'll see that, like all that sort of covered, but, I'd sort of, for a really comprehensive exam, that's sufficient to answer those 2 tasks, but I'd expect you to sort of expand on that a little bit, not a huge number of references, but maybe another 1 or 2 references just to get a few different viewpoints on it, the same sort of thing, And so if we go back to that, so, and then if you look at task 3, so discuss the role that cloud computing is playing in big data management, and then how does cloud computing impact on data visualization? And again, if we click on that one there, so okay, I have to, hopefully that's going to open up. Yeah, so there's a nice article here on cloud computing. And, obviously it's interesting though, because, and I'll put up my lecture slides for this week, the readings, because one thing, you have to think about in terms of the cloud, like probably a lot of, it's kind of almost sort of moved on. So a lot of bigger companies have already, their data's in the cloud because it's sitting in a data center, So it might not be sitting in a data center somewhere else, maybe in that same CBD, or could be somewhere else. And there's also, with the cloud, there's also a cost when you start moving, when you're talking about big data, that means you need to push it across a telecommunications pipe. So there's also a cost in actually moving it into the cloud, But it obviously does give organisations a lot more capability. Also, you don't have to spend so much money on, developing that sort of infrastructure yourself, But like some organisations, some organisations will have their own private cloud. So hopefully we can get back to that. So that article there, and then actually, we've got a task 4, so that's linking to the wrong. I'll click on it. Maybe I'll need to. So what I can do, if you go to course activity, so I'll have to fix that up. Yeah, I've got some incorrect links. Yeah, so the last one on the Internet of Things, if you click on this one, you'll see that there's an article there. So in terms of the Internet of Things, but that's talking about in terms of how they're related. It's a bit annoying, some of these ads, you know, in terms of Internet of Things, AI, and big data. Yeah, what he's saying is that they're related sort of things, you know. And yes, it's a short article, but quite an interesting and relevant article, and will help a lot in terms of actually answering that fourth task. So if you just go back to that forum. Yeah, so I just realised I'll have to fix, there's, yeah, one link there that's the wrong link. Yeah, so I'll fix that up. Yeah. So, yeah, so that was probably, I'll stop in terms of what I wanted to cover. So I'll stop the screen sharing and then sort of open it up to any questions anyone's got. Has anyone got any questions?
Can I ask a question about assignment 2?
Yep.
Is there any particular strategy you want us to take for null values?
For null values?
Missing values.
Yeah, missing values. Yeah, well, I suppose that would be up to you, you know, if there's a lot of them, you know, you might want to look at, like, you could do filtering. Yeah. I mean, you could calculate, you know, there's a lot, you could calculate new values, you know.
Yeah, no, that's fine. That
yeah.
helps me heaps.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not sort of mandating that you know, that sort of be part of the decision-making process for you to work out what, you know, you think is sort of the best way, you know, to work with that data, you know.
Okay, no, that's great.
Yeah, and there's also, if you look at assignment 2, like we'll talk more about it, I think you also need to complete the data dictionary as well, you know.
Oh yeah, for that, you literally just want a brief description of, like, well, you know, what is this field?
Yeah. So maybe if you do a bit of a search, you're able to find out what that field is and just explain just a brief summary of each field, you know.
Right. Okay.
I don't think it's not really that big of a thing, but quite a useful thing to do because, you know, the reality is sometimes you get data sets and you have to actually go and work out what they actually mean, you know. Data set, but not much information.
So literally where it says something like long, you just want me to say this is the longitude.
Yeah, that's right. So some of them will be a lot more obvious than others, you know. You know, so that would be like a longitude and latitude points of that crime incident.
Okay.
Yep.
No, that's fine.
Yeah. And then, you know, like if you know, maybe you just briefly, you know, just, yeah, there's not a huge amount, you know.
All right. No, that's good.
But yeah, the idea is also like, well, for assignment 2, not art, you know, it's more just sort of understanding the data, loading it in and getting, you know, and then some commentary on it and a couple of initial views, and sort of indicating what sort of dashboard, like once you get your head around that data set, what sort of dashboard are you planning to build?
So if I was to say I was going to go into the Tableau marketplace and use custom visuals, you're all good with that?
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, it's really up to you, what you want to do with it,
Oh, good.
I just had a question back to assignment 1, if that's okay.
Yeah, no, that's all right. Like Tony's sort of probably a little bit ahead of most people, I'd say,
Yep. I just wanted to double confirm a lot of the information that I'm getting about cloud computing and Internet of Things and all of these are coming out of blogs. And so are they fine to as references?
Yep.
In other courses, it's kind of not allowed. So I just wanted to confirm that.
No, as long as you think it's like you think it sort of makes sense what they're writing about,
Yeah.
I don't have a problem, because even tweets, sometimes tweets, can be a good source of getting the most accurate information,
Can I make a suggestion there? This is only a database I discovered recently. That ACM database is excellent. Normally I would use EBSCO, but
You found it's better, a lot richer, sort of.
Oh, for computing, absolutely.
Yeah, no, if you wanted to post something on that, Tony and I can put a link, probably also put a link to it. So, Zoe, the database that Tony's talking about is a journal, but it's also conferences, I think, as well.
Lots of conference proceedings, but it's all peer-reviewed stuff. Yeah,
it's all peer-reviewed. So, it's a huge repository of, and definitely a good resource,
Yeah, is that the ACM Digital Library?
That's it. Yep, that one. Yeah.
Cool.
But EBSCO host, but you found it better than EBSCO host, have you, Tony?
Oh, look, I think it's far better in terms of just looking at lots of other stuff. I mean, I'm doing another unit and focusing on machine learning and the number of references.
Oh, you definitely find a lot more information in there.
Oh, yeah, it's absolutely
machine
fantastic.
Learning, But that's why I like some of the blogs, because it's more current, more relevant. Like some journal articles, they just don't really cut it, not current enough or relevant.
Yep.
Like for instance, I'll give you an example. Like why would you, if there's some questions there on big data management, why would, unless it was a seminal paper, why would you refer or underpin, your argument on a journal conference article written 10 years ago,
Of course.
Because the landscape, has changed so much, So, and that's the advantage of the ACM. It has got a lot of, it goes back, but you also can get the current, particularly conferences are good in that regard if they're peer review, because they're looking at the cutting edge sort of stuff. Any other questions or?
Sorry, I just had one more.
Yep.
In terms of the examples for tasks 1 and 2, for some of it, I find I can explain things in words and in some as an example, and for some of it, I have put diagrams and sort of charts in appendices. Is that okay, or are you expect?
Yeah, that's all right. I suppose just because it's emphasis on data visualization, would be good to have some diagram, graphs.
Yeah, I do have a few. It's just I'm not too familiar with it yet to do it. more than what I can. So I do have a
Yeah.
few. I just wanted to confirm.
But maybe if you just do a bit of a search on, you know, the key sort of graphs used, you know, and I think there is some of those YouTube videos, you know, cover some of that, you know, in terms of exploratory, you know, what sort of types of graphs are sort of normally used for that, you know. It'll give you, you know, I'll give you some ideas, you know.
Yep. Thank you.
In terms of the way, like the format of writing the piece,
Yep.
I was thinking about you're expecting like a blog style or more like a article, you know, like an informative article, or does that not matter as much?
Well, probably like a try to write concisely and to the point, you know.
Yep.
Not conversational, you know.
Yep.
All right. I'll see you later. Thanks, everyone.
No worries.
Thanks, Michael.
Yep, so anyone else got a question?
Hi, everyone.
So that's David. Yep.
Yes. Sorry, I was late joining, but
no problem, David.
Desiree asked Desiree asked the two questions that I had anyway, so that was I joined at the right time.
Yep. So you're all good, David, now.
Yeah. No, I'm progressing. Progressing.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. The other thing is, you know, if you're stuck on anything, you know, either use the forum, you know, but try and, you know, like some students will just put it in, you know, a question about assignment 1 in the social forum, you know. Don't sort of do that. I can normally move it, you know, into the right forum.
Okay.
For consistency, you know, if you've got a question about assignment 1, put it into that forum. Or, you know, alternatively, you can email me directly, you know, whatever you feel, you know, most comfortable to do or most convenient to you, you know. Generally what I do is if student contacts me directly, I wouldn't identify that student, but I would, if I think it's useful for other students, I would put a response to that question, you know, without identifying the student, just for the benefit of other students as well.
Yep, no worries. That makes sense.
Yep. But as I said, I was saying before, David, I'll hold one of these sessions for the next two, prior to the next two assignments as well. So with assignment 2, because that's due in the mid-semester break, I was looking at week 5 to run a session on that, so that that gives you plenty of time, you know, in terms of what, you know, how to approach it, what the expectations are, you know, if you've got any questions about it, you know, prior, because then after week 5, I only got 1 week, and then you got the break and the assignments due during the break.
Yep, that sounds good.
Yeah. The other thing that I'm sort of thinking about is assignment. This assignment's due on the Monday. I'm thinking to move that, extend that to the following Friday.
Assignment 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, extra few days sounds good to me.
Yeah, it's sort of like probably a little. I didn't set the dates, you know, for this course, so just thinking it's a little bit short, you know, particularly with this, just having this information session. I think it'd be better to move it to the Friday. It's still only week 4, you know. Give people a little bit more time, you know.
Yeah, that'd be much appreciated.
Yep. That's probably all I wanted to cover. So maybe I'll stop